Hello, hi, my name is Mo, and I thought today I would talk about queerbaiting. Now the reason I wanted to talk about this and the reason I kind of had the idea to talk about it was because I saw a post on Twitter that Miranda Sings had posted, and I mean, it's just, I'm gonna cut the crap, it's queerbaiting. Hello, it's Mo from the future. I just wanted to say I just went on Twitter and I've seen her apology. At the time I filmed this video she hadn't apologised, but I thought the video was still relevant regardless, so that's why I'm putting it out. But I just want to say I have seen the apology. I'll talk about it later on in the video. I think it was a good apology. But anyway, back to the video. Now, if you don't know who Miranda Sings is, she was a character basically created by a woman called COLLEEN? I don't know, I probably should have looked up how to pronounce her name. But Miranda Sings was a character basically.
Well, you're welcome. I just saved your lives from a demon who's going on the internet and scaring people.
She's not nearly as popular now. Internet trends, they come and go. I'm guessing that's one of the reasons why she did what she did. Before I get into what queerbaiting is and all that kind of stuff, I just want to say I'm not hating on Miranda Sings or COLLEEN. I think queerbaiting often just comes from a place of ignorance. I'm not, you know, saying queerbaiting is homophobic. I mean, there's aspects of it that can be and are quite problematic, which I'll go into later on in the video. But in COLLEEN's case, she's not homophobic. I'm not saying that. I just want to point out the problems that are presented within what she's done, because I think it's really interesting and I think it opens a good dialogue so that people can be more aware. But enough of that. What is queerbaiting? I mean, it's quite self-explanatory. It's called queerbaiting because it's baiting a queer audience. So this, let me read out. This is when a author or director, etc., gives hints and clever twists to paint a character as possibly being queer to satisfy queer audience, but never outright saying they are, so they can keep their heterosexual audience. It's just enough to keep LGBT people interested, but like without having to actually represent us, right? So you've got just enough kind of plausible deniability to go, oh no, that they're not gay. What? You interpreted it that way? That's really funny that you interpreted it that way, despite the fact that we've given all these hints, and all those hints, no, that's just coincidence, right? It's like that kind of thing. So through queerbaiting, writers and creators are able to appeal to the LGBT market while avoiding any backlash from the homophobic market, basically. So you may have a TV show, there might be two characters, there'll be lots of hints towards them being gay, but it will never outright be specified. So, you know, lots of young LGBT people will be like, oh my god, they're gay, and then they'll want to keep watching because it's like, oh my god, is this representation? But then they'll never end up coming out because the creators won't want, you know, to get backlash from all like their homophobic audience. They don't want the families being like, oh bro, why is there this gay shit on my TV, that kind of thing. So it's quite scummy. Now I'm going to talk about how do we recognise queerbaiting, because the problem with queerbaiting is it hinges on this really fine line between bromance and romance. The lines between romantic love and platonic love overlap so heavily. I actually drew a Venn diagram down. I'll show it to you. Now, this is why recognising queerbaiting can be so difficult. Here's my Venn diagram. So, as you can see, things that seem romantic, given the right context, can be platonic. You can tell your friend that you love them. You can show your friend physical affection. You can give them a hug. You can give them a kiss on the cheek. You can even share a bed with your friend. I know I do that. If my friends are coming over, we all sleep in the same bed and we all just hug each other all night. There is zero romantic intent there, but it could very easily be seen as a romantic thing. Literally any form of non-sexual affection could be considered platonic, but it could also be considered romantic. You can see how the lines become very blurred, and in the context of queerbaiting, it becomes very difficult to distinguish the two, because the only two things really that distinguish between romantic love and platonic love is sex and romantic intent. The difference between sleeping in the same bed as someone who's your friend as opposed to someone who you're in a relationship with or who you like is romantic intent, and that's really difficult to distinguish within a film, which is why there's such an issue with it. I'm going to talk about a couple of different shows and kind of give examples of queerbaiting, and then I'm going to talk about Miranda Sings, and I'm going to break down why I think this is such a problem. One example of queerbaiting, in the first ever episode of Riverdale, Betty and Veronica kiss. I'll insert a clip of it here.
Where's the sizzle? Well, you haven't seen our big finish yet. Don't freak out, just trust me.
Now, this was done as a kind of like, oh, we're being risque, let us onto the cheerleading team kind of thing. I mean, that's problematic on so many levels. But the thing I found really interesting was another character within the show called them out on it. Cheryl says this.
Check your sell-by date, ladies. Faux lesbian kissing hasn't been taboo since 1990.
The thing is, recognising the fact that you're queerbaiting in a show and you know, making fun of the fact that you're queerbaiting, I mean, it's self-aware, right? So is there really a problem? Yes, there is, because, I mean, even if you're... I mean, it's almost worse, actually, because not only are you doing it, you're self-aware that you're doing it, and you're making fun of the fact that you're doing it. So, like, queer people are still going to be drawn in by it, and they're still going to be inevitably disappointed by the lack of representation. I just found it really, really weird why they would choose to do that. That is a lesser form of queerbaiting. My next example is from the show Teen Wolf, and the character of Styles. So at first, right, the showrunners, they probably didn't intentionally queerbait. But as the series went on, they noticed that they were beginning to, you know, pull in a queer audience through this character, and they exploited the shit out of it. There was one scene where Styles was talking to a girl, and it's presented as if he's about to come out as bisexual. Just as like this moment of, fuck, am I actually bi comes across his face. No, it's over, nothing said about it. And I just think that's so trashy, innit? Think of all the young queer kids watching this. They're like, oh my god, this main character is about to come out, and just as he's about to come out, the scene ends. He doesn't. I'll play the scene for you here, and I'll show you what I mean.
So you also like boys?
Absolutely. Do you?
I said I love you.
It's just trashy. It's just really... and, I mean, to make things worse, they use this kind of sexual ambiguity to publicise and like attract new fans. They even used a video containing the actors playing Styles and another character who he's shipped with in order to get votes for the show. I'll show you the video here.
Wow. We're on a ship, pun intended. We want to ask if you guys could vote for Teen Wolf with the Teen Choice Awards for the
Choice Summer Show.
Best
right?
Choice Summer Show. Yep. Can you please do it? Because if you do, We'll take that's all that needs to be said. I'm still tired. Let's go back to sleep.
Now, this pisses me off so much because my identity is not something you can exploit for views. It just, like, just have representation or don't. It's that simple. Now, the last show I'm going to talk about is an example of where I'd say the lines of queerbaiting versus not queerbaiting are blurred, right? It's one of my favourite shows of all time. It's my entire childhood, basically. And that show is Merlin. Merlin has been accused heavily of queerbaiting. I can see the criticisms and I understand where they're coming from. But I'd like to say, for the record, I don't think it's fair to label Merlin as queerbaiting because of the romance versus bromance Venn diagram. I know I made it up, but you know, a problem that we have in our society right now is that men aren't allowed to show affection towards each other without it being gay. Platonic love is just as important as romantic love. I love my friends. I love them so much. I'll happily give them a kiss, you know? I kiss my friends all the time. I just give them a little kiss because I'm like, I love you. Mwah. There's nothing romantic there. It's all platonic. I think we need to normalise this. We need to normalise this idea that guys can show affection. They can tell their, you know, tell the homies you love them, right? And I think there will be moments in Merlin like this, for example.
Without you, Camelot's nothing.
There's a time when that was true, not now. There are many who can fill the crown.
Never be another like you, Arthur.
I get it, right? I get how that could be seen as romantic. But also, given the context of the show, the fact that they're in, you know, a life or death situation, they're looking out for each other. You know, they really rely on each other. It's bromance, okay? I just don't see the showrunners trying to exploit the LGBT community with their relationship. I just see them creating this really strong bromance that it's actually really good because it's shutting down all the stupid toxic masculinity of men can't show affection. So I don't see them, you know, exploiting the LGBT community the way I see the Teen Wolf showrunners exploiting the LGBT community. Right, so I think I've talked about queerbaiting and, you know, why it's harmful enough now. So now I'm going to move on and we're going to talk about Miranda Sings. Okay, so I'll put up a screenshot of what she said on Twitter. Hello, editing Mo here from the future again. So like I said at the start, I have seen her apology. I'll read it out for you now. I agree with you and I regret it, which is why I deleted it. I am deeply sorry. Miranda is a character. A lot of the time I base the character on people who are idiots. I see people doing something awful and then do it as Miranda to show them how idiotic it looks. But this shouldn't have been tweeted. Queerbaiting is wrong, period. I am the biggest supporter and ally of the LGBT community, and the fact that I've disappointed people in that community is devastating. I think that's pretty much the perfect response. It clears up everything for me. I think the main thing is that now she's put out that apology, other influencers, they're gonna see it and they're gonna know now you can't just do stuff like that. So respects to her for coming out and giving an apology that actually felt genuine. I kind of want this video to be treated more as a kind of, let's have a look at what Colleen/Miranda Sings did and learn from it so that we're not making the same mistake in the future. I bear no grudges to Colleen. Honestly, she seems fine. But anyway, back to the video. My problem with this is it's not subtle in the slightest. It is so explicitly queerbaiting. Like, there's no other word for it. She's gone, I have a, you know, an announcement to make, I'm really scared. She's got a rainbow fucking flag in the background and she's done a makeup rainbow, right? what do you think we're gonna think? What do you think young queer kids are gonna think looking at that? They're gonna get excited. They're gonna be like, oh my god, she's coming out. I have someone I can relate to. And then they're just instantly let down by this really stupid joke that really isn't funny at all. I mean, obviously humour is subjective, but I don't see the joke in this. I just see a butt of the joke, which is the LGBT community, right? It's like, haha, I'm making a joke of coming out. I'm coming out as a Meghan Trainor fan. Oh my god, this is so hard for me. Fuck off. You're making a mockery of everything people like me have gone through. I don't like it. I'm not going to talk about my own experiences on here, but like, so many people go through so many different struggles to do with their identity, and having influencers do things like this is just a real kick in the gut. So I really hope that she can kind of reflect on, I guess, what she's done and why it might be harmful. I don't know, I hope other celebrities, influencers, I don't know what to call them, YouTubers, I hope they see this as what not to do, so that we don't get people doing stuff like this as much, because it's just damaging and it's hurtful as well. I've heard some people defend her by saying, oh, it's a joke, Miranda sings as a character, and I'm like, that has absolutely no relevance, whether it's a joke or not. The butt of the joke is still the LGBT community. The kind of, oh, Miranda sings as just a character argument is stupid anyway, because so are characters on TV shows, and that's still queerbaiting. So that argument just seems like a non-argument to me. When influencers do things like that, you know, it sets a really bad precedent, because people will see it and they'll be like, oh, well, Miranda Sings has done it, so it means I can do it too. No. With all that being said, I think that kind of brings this whole video to a close. I hope you found it interesting. There are so many layers to this topic. I'd be really interested to know what other people think. Do you think Miranda Sings was in the wrong or not? Do you think that Merlin did queerbait? I'd be interested to know your opinions. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Have a nice day. See ya.